Life is so peaceful when you don't have a crush. Because, like, there's nothing crowding my mind anymore. I'm not imagining myself with somebody. I am just living. And I love that. And also, you could pay me. Oh, you couldn't pay me to have another crush again. And if I ever did have a crush on you,
Besides being a dumbass bitch, what is it called when you kind of like obsess over somebody when they not really giving you that much attention and stuff like that? Like the person that don't give you a lot of attention, you be all over them, you want them so bad, you want to be with them, you wait for them to text you back. But then the motherfucker that's trying to see you, trying to talk to you, trying to be with you, ask to come to you, you kind of like get the ick, like. And then all you do is kind of wish that the nigga that's calling you, that's asking this to you, that's trying to take you on dates, that's trying to do this, all you do is wish that another motherfucker was doing it. But they're not. So it's like, what the... I know it's called something, but I don't know what it is.
You're not in love. You're in limerence. That feeling of obsession, the butterflies that feel like anxiety, the addiction to their attention, the craving for their validation. It's not love. It's a high. And when it crashes, it hurts deeper than the love you thought it really was. Hey Rich Babes, it's Robyn Milan and welcome back to A Rich Girl's Glow Up. Today we are talking about something every woman needs to hear, but no one really breaks down clearly enough of what's really going on. And if I sound a little stuffy, listen, the pollen is killing me, okay? My eyes, my nose, it's a mess. So we're gonna get through this, all right? The difference between real love and limerence. Limerence is the fantasy version of love. It's not rooted in reality. It's rooted in obsession, emotional neglect, and the false hope that one day they'll finally give you what you need. If you ever been stuck on someone, because we all been there, all right? If you ever been stuck on someone you just couldn't let go of, even when they gave you almost nothing. If you ever waited on a text reply like your life depended on it. If you ever felt addicted to the idea of what it actually could be instead of what it really is, this video is for you. I'm telling you, you better listen up because listen, we've all been there. So I'm about to give you my 5 signs. It's limerence and not love. All right, my loves, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share, and I will be back shortly.
No, this is not the love of your fucking life. This is not the one that got away. This is an emotionally unavailable person that is keeping your brain wired and hooked for the chase. Here's what's happening in your brain. You've got a part of your brain called the ventral striatum. And the ventral striatum that processes rewards lights up when something is unpredictable. So when someone's hot and cold, they're breadcrumbing you, they're in and out, they're being inconsistent, and then suddenly out of nowhere they come back. Your brain sees this unpredictability as a challenge to overcome, and that's what keeps you stuck in this fucking dynamic. Ever notice how when somebody that's been inconsistent, hot or cold, gives you attention, all of a sudden you feel fucking electrified? And you think it's chemistry and you think it's the spark, but no, it's not, baby. It's your nervous system being dysregulated and going after the highs. Welcome to the emotional roller coaster. Because, baby, it's not love, it's dopamine. And here's how to break the cycle. The next time you feel this rush when they text back, I want you to fucking pause and ask this. 1, do I feel safe and valued, or am I just excited? 2, is this connection actually consistent, or am I just chasing a high right now? And 3, if nothing changed and this is the only way they show up, will I be fulfilled? And if the answer is no, then congratulations. You're more addicted to the chase and being chosen than you are actually into this person.
I was so upset about what could have been, what should have been. But you want to know what I did do? I did a lot of Facebook and Instagram stalking. I could have spent that time learning a new skill. I could have focused on getting out of debt. I could have picked up a second job. I could have done so many other things with my time, but I was so dang fixated on what I did not have. Moreover, the person I did not have that I was so sure was right for me because it was just so convenient. He's the best friend of my best friend's boyfriend, soon to be fiance. We have to end up together. So let me leave you with this. As a girl who has been on both sides of the situation, as the single girl and the girl in the relationship that doesn't quite fit, I can personally attest to this. Whether you are being bombarded with images of what you think love should be, 1,000 stems of bouquets and being flued out to wherever and taking those pictures, or you're in the relationship and it's good, but it's not necessarily fitting you or where you'd like to go, but you stay in it because you don't know what's out there. I am here to tell you, you don't love that man. You don't love that person. You love the comfort and security that comes with familiarity. And that alone is not going to be enough. Don't miss out on the woman, the person that you can become for what's familiar.
So if you're like me and you have a hard time getting over someone, getting over rejections, handling heartbreak, like crushes to you aren't just crushes, but something that is actually really serious and can actually make you feel really bad about yourself for an extended amount of time, then you might be dealing with something called limerence, which is a heightened state of infatuation and obsession with someone where it's really hard for you to stop thinking about them. You are idealizing them to the point of, thinking that they're perfect when you don't really know them that well. And it's just making you hyperfixate on them a lot. A lot of times it's rooted in your childhood, certain emotional trauma or neglect that you went through that can cause you to enjoy the dopamine rush of not always being sure if the person you likes you back, and the high of the chase, and just seeking breadcrumbs every time that they do something or don't do something, and it keeps you in this constant state of limbo, which it gives you like a high. And when I started researching about it, I realized it's not very talked about much, and especially not talked about a lot in the church. So I wrote an ebook on it. I called it Life After Limerence. And some of the chapters are the prayer, It Started with Cinderella, What is Limerence, The Story of Tamar, From Crushes to Crushed, Healing to Heartbreak, Freedom in Christ, Getting Free, Staying Free, and Setting Boundaries, The Love of God, and Hope in High Standards. And in it, I just kind of detail my journey of what God brought me through to finally get over everyone that I felt like in the past had rejected me, every single heartbreak, every single crush, every single thing that didn't work out, and just truly accept that man's rejection is God's protection, and that those people that I liked or chased or pursued, they just generally were not for me. And I had to realize that I had to deal with my pain and my past and my trauma in order to really give to God what I was holding so deeply within me, and just surrender everything to Him. So if you are like me and you had to go through any of that, my ebook is linked in my bio. It's only like 44 pages long, but I'm really hoping that it will touch the hearts of my sisters in Christ and finally get them the healing help that they need through Jesus Christ.
I'm going through a limerence episode right now, and I'm trying to be really gentle with myself. I've been really harsh whenever I talk to myself, and it just makes it worse. But I also feel that being gentle with myself is also making it worse because it hasn't stopped. And the thing is, it's someone from high school, right, that I didn't really speak to. She was great. She was great. We were like classmate friends. We weren't close, right? But we were friendly. And I've noticed that every single time that I have a limerence episode recently, every single time that I have a limerence episode, it's always someone that I didn't really speak to like that from high school. And they're always connected to the one friend that I did actually have. So like, she's the common denominator. This friendship that I had broke me. It still breaks me till this day. I'm not over it. I am severely wounded from that friendship. She took a lot from me, and it's just time that I have to stop. It's time that I stop lying about it. She took every single thing from me. I am heartbroken from this friendship. So recently, every time that I've had a limerence episode, it's always about someone that was close to her, if that makes sense. And maybe I'm not supposed to admit that. Maybe someone's gonna call me like a crazy bitch. Probably I am, but that's just a pattern that I've noticed.
Just found out why I've never been in love. I've never been in love with anybody because I always go into limerence. And if you don't know what that is, I'll explain. Basically, it's not either love and it's not lust. You become obsessed, especially when there are people that you barely even know. Like, you've known them for like a month, a couple of weeks. They're rent-free in your head. You just are so obsessed with them. They basically live rent-free in your fucking head. Like, all those thoughts that you have every single day, like, they can't leave your mind. Yeah, that's what it is. So when I meet somebody, it's not even love bomb. Like, I will give you the world. I will die for you. I would catch a bullet for you because I just become so obsessed with you. But it's because you know there's a level of uncertainty, maybe a level where it's not really reciprocated, or, you know, a little bit of rejection in there. So it doesn't last forever though. As soon as you get your closure, because rejection, once they actually be like, I don't want to be with you, it's devastating. Very devastating, to the point you even get like suicidal thoughts. Like, it could be really, really down bad. Like, you could be down bad, but eventually you do move on. And then again, you meet somebody else, limerence. Like, that is me. Like, I become obsessive. Apparently there's like 4 stages to this. Attraction. Obviously, you're gonna attract what you see, personality, yada yada yada. Number 2, that's where the obsession comes, because you love a challenge. You know you love a challenge. Rejection. I need to convince this person that I am worthy. I need validation. I want them to love me the way I love them. Number 3, frustration, because you realize, like, dude, like, I'm really giving in and this person is not giving the same back. It's not reciprocated. Number 4, solution, which is like, hey, like, honestly, I gave it all. They're not giving it all. They told me that they don't want to be with me. Cool. Devastating. It hurts, but I'll move on. So we can see, like, at the beginning, it's going to give you that high dopamine, that rush, you know, that emotional roller coaster, and it's going to feel great. But eventually, it leads to anxiety and depression. So that's a fun fact that I learned about myself today. Let me know if you've ever been in a similar situation, or if you think that you also have that. You know, we're just self-diagnosing at this.
Sure, I'm happy to share. And I actually found this really cool article that really lays it out very well. If you want to Google this and take a look at the article yourself, this is really helpful and helped me sort of like flesh out what's really going on. So limerence is a really intense feeling of falling in love with someone, but it's not reciprocated. It can turn into like an obsessive feeling of love where you can't function or think about anything else but the object of your desire. I say object because there are some people who fixate on objects. We see them pretty often here on TikTok, you know, people who fall in love with like the Eiffel Tower or a car. That's an extreme version of it, but it does happen when we fall for humans and that feeling is not reciprocated. I want to note that this is when the feelings are extremely intense and you can't function in your day-to-day life because of those feelings, that type of intensity. And it ties into neurodivergence because we have thought patterns that make us more susceptible to moving into limerence. For example, with me, I have complex PTSD and ADHD. For me, as a child, I can see how this pattern began because with complex PTSD, if you look at your caregiver, who is the primary source of love and care, and that person is abusive in any way, in my instance, it was mental and emotional, I had to fantasize about the ideal parent and superimpose that over the parent in order to be able to continue to connect with them because my safety and my survival depended on it. So it can be easy for me to fantasize about the person that's in front of me instead of really looking at what is truly happening in front of me. Is that person responding? Is that person really reciprocating my energy? Does that person really even care about me? It's easy to ruminate and have these scenarios run over and over and over and over and over again in my mind because in other areas of my life that can become a habit. Here in the article, it says women like me are prone to roaming into limerent ways of thinking and relating for a variety of reasons. Some being we often have vivid imaginations, we enjoy fantasizing, we have creative tendencies, and seeing the best in people is how we project onto others our hopes and expectations of that person. The perspective can be useful in some areas of life, in our creative pursuits and things like that, but not really so much in forming long-lasting and meaningful relationships with other people. She also emphasizes that low self-esteem can be prevalent among neurodivergent people because we've been through so much. And if we don't understand what's going on with us, we have decades worth of feedback from neurotypical people that tells us that we are difficult or hard to love or annoying or just too much. So it can be easy for us to slip into the fantasy of someone as opposed to what's really going on in real life. I also want to read this section. Neurodivergent women may also be vulnerable to nurturing trauma bonds. Those with the ADHD neurotype are often hyper empathic and therefore may give more chances and be more forgiving of deceptive and unhealthy behaviors from a partner. They may not understand or be experienced in relationships that are peaceful and undramatic. That's me. That has been me in the past. And it's one of the reasons why when things start going south and feel unhealthy and there's a breakup, I will block immediately because it can be easy for me to slip into that pattern of being too understanding, too forgiving. Like I forgive, but I used to forgive egregious stuff and just allow the person back into my life with no plan for moving forward, no sense of unpacking what's happened. Just, okay, they say they're sorry, so we can start over. Absolutely not. For me, it's because I know I can slip into this, that if we break up, friendship, relationship in any way, you will never hear from me again. I can't run the risk of allowing myself into this pattern because it's incredibly destructive and it can waste me years of my valuable, precious life and time and mental health. I'm not going there. So when I'm done, I am truly done. I hope this is helpful. Have you seen yourself experiencing this? Have you gone through this a bit? Is this something that you look back on relationships and realize, oh my gosh, this is what I was doing? It's really eye-opening.
All right, girlies, here are the 5 signs to limerence and letting you know that this is really not love. The first sign is you're obsessed with their potential, not reality. You're not in love with who they are. You're in love with who they could be. You're hoping, imagining, fantasizing, and ignoring what's actually happening. Okay, who is this? Who is this? Number 2 is you feel anxious more than you feel safe. Love brings peace. Limerence brings anxiety. If you feel sick, waiting on their reply. If your mood depends on their attention, that's not love, honey. That's a nervous system deregulation. All right. Number 3 is you create stories to excuse their behavior. They ghosted. Well, maybe they're just overwhelmed. They disrespected you. Well, but they had a really tough childhood, so it's okay. He only did it once. Or like you're constantly rewriting the story to justify staying in it, okay? Number 4 is you ignore what you need to keep their attention. You stop asking for consistency. You mute your voice. You shrink your needs just to avoid pushing them away. That's not love. That's fear of abandonment in disguise. And lastly, my loves, is you're addicted to the high of the maybe this time. Every message, every call, every breadcrumb, you're not connected through love. You're bonded through emotional starvation. You keep thinking, maybe this time they'll choose me. Oh, child, it's not love, it's limerence. Disney really put a hold on us millennials, because I swear I thought that was love. It wasn't. It was a fantasy.
It basically has to do with childhood trauma and sometimes growing up in situations where love was earned. You had to earn love. You had to get a good grade. You had to do this. And there was no space for you to share your real feelings because you were either bullied for them or didn't seem important. So then in love, when you grow up in love, the people that love you off the bat without any reason give you the ick because you're used to a household or however you grew up to like having to do something to earn the love and affection that should be given freely by our parents or our caretakers. So that gives you the ick, but you chase because you want to fight and earn that love from the person that don't really give you that much attention. So you think about ways, it makes you anxious. It's like, how can I get them to show me something? So then you start accepting breadcrumbs and fantasizing and going into limerence and all these other things because of that. So
the reason you fall in love with every guy you meet is because you're great, right?
No, because one time I was obsessed with this guy, and I was telling my therapist, I was like, I won't find anyone like him. I just had so much fun with him. I have no idea, why I haven't ever met anyone like this before. And she said, okay, what do you like about him? And I said, no, he's really smart and he's really funny and we have great conversations. And she told me to write down every instance I could remember where it was an interesting or funny moment, and then figure out who started that conversation or that joke. And they were all entirely me. And that's what I do with everyone now. Anyone that I think I'm obsessed with, I think that was a really funny moment that I started. So there's a hot tip from my therapist to you.
I've had an imaginary boyfriend since I was 8 years old. I'm 22 now. My first imaginary boyfriend, his name was Chris Blue, okay? These imaginary boyfriends and imaginary friends always were created out of the need for someone to just come and love me forever. That's all I wanted as a kid. I just wanted someone to just think that I was pretty enough to just like me for a really long time. No one in my life did, which then led me to create people that did not exist. I have this memory of me being 8 years old, looking up into the night sky, wishing on stars. I remember praying to the gods. At that time, I went to Catholic school, so I was praying to Jesus Christ himself to finally make Chris Blue come into fruition so that I will finally be happy. Over the years, my imaginary boyfriends have changed. I've had a couple of imaginary girlfriends as well. Because my imagination has always been very overactive, it's led me to only be able to experience affection for other people with intense limerence and maladaptive daydreaming. I went through a really bad limerence episode in 2022, which lasted 2 years. It just ended January of last year. So this year is my 1 year anniversary of not being obsessed over this boy. This limerence episode was over a boy that I, 1, never found attractive. 2, him and I haven't spoken since freshman year of high school. Like I said, I'm 22 now. That was 8 years ago. 3, throughout this limerence episode, he had a very real girlfriend. Okay, like a very real life girlfriend. And I was convincing myself that somehow we were meant to be and we were soulmates and we were going to live this happily ever after. I went to tarot readers about this. I went to psychic mediums about this. Everything spiritual that you can imagine about like this love that I had for him, which obviously did not work out in my favor. Now being out of that limerence episode for a year, because of how intense it was, it breaks my heart to finally see how much that I desire to be in love and to have someone feel that way about me. For a while, I was perfectly content with it all just being in my head. And on the other hand, I have a lot of hope that one day it'll just come to me. And I've been a late bloomer all this time. But yeah, it scares me to know that the only sense of affection and romance that I've ever had has only been in my head.
I'm convinced that every single girl has that one guy that the guy either never liked them back or the guy just never gave him a chance, that like that girl would literally drop anything to be with.
Yeah, so that's called limerence. It's a thing. Limerence is a psychological term that you could think of as a really intense crush, but it goes beyond that. It almost borders obsession. Anyone can experience limerence of any age, any gender. It's not just women towards men. Typically, it is a romantic attraction that has not been reciprocated. The person experiencing limerence has what is called a limerent object, and that is the guy in this situation, the guy that she's talking about. It can look a lot of different ways, but one way I see it manifesting itself quite frequently, and we'll just use women and men as the example here. So a woman will get love bombed by a guy and feel really strong emotions towards him in the beginning, and then he disappears. And this woman is very intelligent. She likes a challenge. She wants to win him over. And she thinks, if I can just do X, Y, and Z, I can get him to like me back. And so she obsesses over him. She starts to figure out what he likes. She starts to think about different types of situations where she could win him over and make him like her back. She will wait on him. She will wait around for hours just to see him for 5 minutes. She'll bring him lunch at work, even if he doesn't want to actually sit and have lunch with her. She just wants to see him for a split second. And if this sounds like stalking, limerence can lead to stalking. Doesn't always. It's a very intense emotional connection to somebody because you have put this person on a pedestal. You have decided that how this person feels about you is going to change how you feel about you. It's a codependent relationship. And it can look a lot of different ways. That is just one example. But the only way you deal with limerence is by cutting off the limerent object. You cannot see him anymore. You have to block him. If he calls, you have to say, nope, we're not going, we're not doing it. You have to do the work on yourself. You have to do the internal work to know that you deserve more than someone who doesn't want you. In the end, you can only have a limerent object with someone who is not fully committing to you. I've heard of situations where people felt limerence toward their significant other, and that is an interesting case study that I've never really quite understood, but it does seem like their significant other was avoidant in some ways and so was not actually fulfilling their needs, and so they sort of put them on a pedestal and was trying to make them fill their needs. It's a psychological phenomenon. It can get very complicated. It can come in many different forms. I'm just giving you some examples. But you don't have to succumb to it. You can break that obsession. You can break that infatuation. I have one that got away and I want nothing to do with him ever again. And I would say I experienced limerence towards him at some point. You can do it. You can break free of it. I promise. You just have to work on yourself. And you have to realize that you are worth more than what you're putting yourself through. You are worth more than how you're allowing him to treat you. And ultimately, one thing that helps is recognizing that you also dehumanized him in a way. You put him above you. He's not above you. You're at the same level. You're not seeing him as an actual human being because who he is a person that does not want you back. And you're not seeing that. You're not truly seeing who he is. And that is dehumanizing him also. You're using him as a toy, as a game to help you feel better. And that's not going to work.
People who are very depressed or very lonely and lost in life are very vulnerable to falling into limerence with someone. The idea of becoming obsessed with someone just because they show you a small act of kindness once in a while might sound crazy to a lot of people, but when you sit down and really think about it, it makes a lot of sense. I've struggled with limerence for 14 years. I've had it with many different kinds of people at different stages in my life. And it is never about the person that I'm obsessed with. It's never about who they actually are. It's only about what I'm looking for in them. It's only because they give me what I have never had in my entire life. My parents abused me, kids in school bullied me my entire life, coworkers bullied me when I became an adult, and even my best friends betrayed me. Every single human being needs love. That is something that every single person needs, whether they like it or not, because it's part of our nature as human beings. And when you live a life of abuse and neglect and betrayal and cruelty, you are missing something that is fundamental to your nature. And so I want you to think about it this way. Imagine that you are starving. You starve your entire life, and every now and again, someone comes along and gives you a little crumb of food. When you're depressed and you're lonely, most of the time, that's just like starving. If food is a human need, and so is love, then not having love is like starving. And so what would a person do if they were starving their entire life and someone gave them a crumb of food? They would hold on to it as hard as they could, never knowing when it's going to come again, never knowing when they're going to get the opportunity to have that need filled again. And that's what limerence is. It is a desperation. It is a clinging on to any sign of light, any little bit of love that you might receive. Limerence is a maladaptive coping mechanism, but at the heart of what it really is a desire to fulfill a need that every single human being has.
All right, Rich Babes, let's be honest, all right? Some of us weren't in love, we were in limerence. We weren't being loved, we were being triggered, ignored, manipulated, and told it was passion. We thought that the anxiety was butterflies. We thought that the inconsistency was complicated love. We thought our attachment meant it was meant to be. all right? But deep down, we knew. We knew we were addicted to what we hoped it would become, not what it really was. You stayed because of the way they made you feel when they gave you just enough. That dopamine hit, that validation, that fantasy. But love doesn't feel like a withdrawal. It doesn't leave you wondering if you're enough. It doesn't keep you confused. Let me remind you who you are. You are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone to be strung along in between their growth. You deserve consistency, clarity, and commitment. Okay, the 3 big C's. You don't have to wait for love to become love. If it's not clear, peaceful, I'm gonna have to say that one more time. Peaceful, because we're not in here with no struggle love anymore. And it's not reciprocal. It is not for you. And now, all right, now that you know you are healing, you are reclaiming your nervous system. You're choosing peace over performance. You're letting go of the fantasy and embracing your reality. Because once you realize it was never love, you stop mourning them and you start reintroducing yourself to the woman who stopped showing up for herself to be chosen. Okay? You don't need closure. You don't need another text. Put the phone down, please. All right? You don't need the ending to be sweet. You just need to say, I know better now. I choose me this time. To every woman still breaking the bond with someone who never loved her fully, you are not crazy. You are not weak. You were chemically attached to a fantasy. Chemically attached to a fantasy, okay? But now you're her again. The version of you that doesn't confuse chaos with chemistry. We got chemistry, y'all. Ciao. The woman who knows her worth and doesn't chase the breadcrumbs. Okay, so become the woman who walks in a room and make people wonder. Secure the bag, protect your peace, and stay rich, rich babes. Love you.